I thought I knew my wife of 7 years, until her phone accidentally called mine during her girls' night out, and I heard everything. Her passionate conversations with another man, her cruel laughter as she mocked our marriage, her cold admission of multiple affairs. That 4-minute call changed everything. Now she'll learn that the pathetic husband she betrayed isn't as weak as she thought. And revenge? It's best served digitally. My name is Brian Donovan. I'm 38, a lead developer at Neurotech in Boston. I've spent 15 years building unbreakable code and a supposedly unbreakable marriage. Turns out only one of those was secure. Thursday night, I was crushing a critical deadline when my phone lit up with Joanna's name. She was supposed to be at girls' night with Shannon and her HR department colleagues. I almost declined the call. The team needed this fixed by morning, but something made me answer. I didn't say hello, just listened. "Preston, you're terrible." Joanna's voice, playful and flirtatious. Not the tired, irritated tone she used with me lately. The background noise told me she was in a restaurant. Definitely not the wine bar where the girls allegedly met. "Your husband has no idea." A man's voice, smooth and confident. "Brian, please." He's probably hunched over his laptop, completely clueless. Her laugh cut through me like broken glass. "He thinks I'm with Shannon. Wasn't last week in my office enough of a risk?" The man chuckled. "Worth every second." Joanna purred. "God, the things you do to me." My hand tightened around the phone as I heard the unmistakable sound of a kiss. Not some friendly peck. This was hungry, intimate. For 4 minutes and 12 seconds, my wife unknowingly broadcast her betrayal. My marriage disintegrating in real time as I listened, stone-faced, to their plans for the night ahead. The call disconnected when she finally realized her phone was active. Probably checked her screen and saw my name. Panicked. I sat motionless in my home office, the code on my screen now meaningless. 10 years together. 7 years married. All built on a foundation that had just crumbled to dust. I didn't scream. Didn't break anything. That's not my style. Instead, I opened a new terminal window and started typing. I'd approach this like debugging a critical system failure. Methodical. Precise. First, gather evidence. Then, execute a controlled shutdown. I pulled our phone records online. Took screenshots of suspicious texts I'd previously ignored. I accessed our home security cameras, downloading months of footage of Joanna leaving and returning at odd hours. By midnight, I had created an encrypted folder with timestamp proof of her betrayal. The military had taught me before my tech career, never go into battle without reconnaissance. I heard her key in the door at 1:17 a.m. Perfume mixed with alcohol and something else, someone else. She'd expect me asleep or still working. She'd get neither. I closed my laptop, straightened my shoulders, and stepped into the hallway. Time to show Joanna exactly who she'd been underestimating all these years. Joanna stumbled through the front door at 1:17 a.m., lipstick smudged and hair disheveled. The scent of another man's cologne hung around her like an accusation. She froze when she saw me standing in the hallway, arms crossed, expression unreadable. "Brian, I thought you'd be asleep." Her hand fluttered to her throat, her tell when lying. Girls' night ran late. I didn't speak, just observed, cataloging every detail of her deception. The slight hickey peeking from her collar, the guilty widening of her pupils, the way she couldn't meet my eyes. "What's wrong? You look intense." She laughed nervously, stepping past me toward the kitchen. I tracked her movements like a predator. "How's Preston?" I kept my voice neutral, clinical. She stumbled mid-step, her shoulders tensing. "Who? Preston? The man you've been sleeping with. The one you were with tonight instead of Shannon." She whirled around, wine-flushed face suddenly pale. "What are you talking about?" "You call me tonight, Joanna." Pocket dial. I heard everything. The blood drained from her face as her hand flew to her purse, frantically checking her phone. She saw the call log, and her entire body seemed to deflate. "Brian, it's not. Save it." I cut her off with a sharp gesture. "I'm not interested in lies. I heard enough tonight." Her strategy shifted instantly. Denial wasn't working, so she tried anger. Classic manipulation tactic. "You were spying on me? That's your response? God, this is exactly why you what? Decided to cheat." I stepped closer, voice still measured. Instead of addressing problems like an adult, instead of honoring your vows. You're never here, she shouted, eyes wild. Always working. Always on your precious computer. What did you expect? I laughed, a sound so cold it surprised even me. I expected loyalty. My mistake. I pulled out my phone, tapped the screen, and played the recording I'd made from our security system, showing her sneaking Preston in 3 weeks ago while I was on a business trip. Our bedroom, Joanna? Really? Her mouth opened and closed wordlessly. I have more. Phone records, text message backups, security footage, hotel receipts. You've been investigating me? Outrage flashed across her face. No, I've been respecting you. Until tonight. I gestured toward the living room. But now we're going to talk. You're going to tell me everything. Or tomorrow I call HR at your company and explain how you've been misusing company resources for your affair. Her face crumpled. An HR violation would destroy her career trajectory, something she cared about more than our marriage, apparently. You wouldn't. Try me. The steel in my voice was unmistakable. She sank onto the couch, mascara streaking down her cheeks. Not from remorse, I knew, but from being caught. How long? I demanded. 3 months, she whispered. Who else knows? Just Shannon. I nodded, making mental notes. Start talking. From the beginning. And Joanna. I leaned forward, eyes locked on hers. If I catch you in one more lie, you won't like what happens next. She recognized the expression on my face, one she'd never seen before. This wasn't her pushover husband talking. This was the man who'd survived boot camp, coded through 72-hour crunch periods, and built systems that couldn't be broken. And she had broken me, just not in the way she thought. Joanna sat on our couch, mascara streaking down her face. The confession tumbled out in bits and pieces, each word driving another nail into our marriage's coffin. It started at the company Christmas party, Joanna admitted, eyes downcast. Preston was new in marketing. It was just flirting at first. I remained standing, arms crossed. And then, we kissed in his car that night, she continued. I told myself it was the champagne, that it wouldn't happen again. But it did, I stated flatly. Joanna nodded. 2 weeks later, I stayed late at work. He came to my office. Spare me the details. I interrupted. I want names. Everyone who knew. Just Shannon and maybe Preston's roommate, Joanna said. Shannon covered for me. Said I was with her when I wasn't. I pulled out my phone, making notes. These girls' nights. How many were actually with him? Most of them. The last for months. For months. While I was working overtime to afford the anniversary trip she'd been planning. The irony wasn't lost on me. Brian, please say something, Joanna pleaded. Yell at me, throw something. This silent treatment is worse. I'm not giving you the satisfaction of seeing me lose control, I replied coldly. I'm gathering facts, like how you used our joint credit card to pay for hotel rooms. Her eyes widened. How did you? I'm not an idiot, Joanna. I just trusted you. I moved toward the door. Pack an overnight bag. You're kicking me out? She gasped. No, I'm going to a hotel. I can't stomach being in the same house with you tonight. Brian, wait. Joanna jumped up. We need to talk about this. We can fix this. I turned, my expression stone. There's nothing to fix. While you've been playing house with Preston, I've been talking to lawyers. Tomorrow I'm calling Shannon's husband, Mike. Does he know his wife helps you cheat? The color drained from Joanna's face. You wouldn't. Watch me. I grabbed my pre-packed bag from the hall closet. I've already moved half our savings to a separate account. The security cameras are on. Don't try anything stupid. You planned for this. She looked shocked. How long have you known? Long enough to protect myself. I opened the front door. One more thing. Check your email. I sent copies of everything to your mother. Catherine should know what her daughter's been up to. Joanna's scream of rage followed me out the door. I didn't look back. In the car, I finally allowed myself a deep, shuddering breath. Not from sadness, from relief. The weight of suspicion I'd been carrying for weeks was gone, replaced by cold certainty. As I drove away from the house we'd shared for 7 years, I felt something unexpected. Freedom. Morning found me in a hotel room 10 miles from home, clear-headed despite minimal sleep. I'd spent most of the night documenting everything, creating an airtight case for the divorce attorney I'd be meeting later. My phone had been buzzing nonstop since 6 a.m. Joanna, her mother, even Shannon. I ignored them all and focused on the task at hand. By 8 a.m., I was outside Mike Taylor's office building. Shannon's husband deserved to know the truth before the day was out. Mike looked surprised when I approached him in the parking lot. "Brian, what brings you here?" "We need to talk," I said, "about our wives." His expression shifted from confusion to wariness. "What about them?" "Shannon's been covering for Joanna's affair," I stated bluntly. "For months." Mike's face drained of color. "What?" "Joanna accidentally called me during a date with her lover. She claimed to be with Shannon. When I confirmed with Shannon this morning, she lied to my face." "This can't be right," Mike stammered. "Shannon wouldn't." I showed him the text exchange from this morning, where Shannon insisted she and Joanna had been together last night. "Call the restaurant they supposedly went to," I suggested. "Check your credit card statements. How many girls' nights have there been lately?" I watched realization dawn in Mike's eyes, followed by the same anger I'd felt. "I'm sorry," I said, genuinely sympathetic. "I thought you deserved to know." Mike nodded stiffly. "Thanks, Brian. I appreciate it." I left him making his own calculations, pulling out his phone with shaking hands. At 10 a.m., I met with Patricia Wilson, the city's most ruthless divorce attorney. Her reputation for destroying cheating spouses was legendary. "Your evidence is excellent," Patricia said, reviewing my files. "The accidental call recording alone would be enough, but the security footage, hotel receipts, and bank statements make this airtight. I want this clean and fast," I told her. "I'm not interested in reconciliation. With this evidence, she'll be lucky to get the clothes on her back," Patricia assured me. "Especially since your prenup has an infidelity clause." I'd forgotten about that clause. Joanna's father had insisted on it, ironically to protect her from me potentially cheating. My phone buzzed with a text from Catherine, Joanna's mother. "We need to talk. It's important." "Ignore her," Patricia advised. "No communication except through me from now on." As I left Patricia's office, another message came through, from Preston, of all people. "This is just a misunderstanding. Let's talk man to man." I laughed out loud, startling a passing secretary. The arrogance was almost impressive. "Nothing to discuss," I texted back. "Enjoy the fallout." Back in my hotel room, I powered on my laptop and executed the final phase of my plan. With a few keystrokes, I locked Joanna out of our joint accounts, credit cards, and even the smart home system. Let her explain to Preston why she couldn't afford dinner tonight. 2 days after moving to the hotel, I received an unexpected visitor. Catherine, Joanna's mother, stood rigidly in the lobby, her normally immaculate appearance slightly disheveled. "You look terrible," I observed, gesturing toward the hotel cafe. Catherine followed me silently. Once seated, she spoke in a controlled voice. "My daughter made a terrible mistake." "Several, actually," I replied, signaling the waitress for coffee. "Brian, please." Catherine's voice softened. "Joanna is devastated. She wants to make amends." I studied my mother-in-law's face. "Is that why you're here? To negotiate a reconciliation?" "She loves you." Catherine reached for my hand, which I smoothly moved away. "She loved the stability I provided," I corrected. "There's a difference." The waitress brought our coffee. I waited until she left before continuing. "Did Joanna tell you everything? About using your family cabin for her rendezvous? About how she laughed with Preston about fooling me?" Catherine's hand trembled as she lifted her cup. "She said it wasn't serious. Just a mistake. A 6-month mistake. With multiple partners." Her cup clattered against the saucer. "What?" "Preston wasn't the first," I stated flatly. "Just the current. Check her phone records from last summer. Look for a David Collins." Catherine's face paled further. "This can't be right. Joanna wouldn't." "The same Joanna who told Preston I was pathetic and clueless." I pulled out my phone and played a short clip from the accidental call. Catherine listened, her expression crumbling with each word. "I'm sorry," I said, genuinely feeling for the older woman. "But I won't be manipulated into forgiveness." "What are you going to do?" "The divorce papers are already filed. My lawyer will contact Joanna tomorrow." Catherine nodded slowly, aging before my eyes. "Did you have to tell Michael about Shannon?" "Mike deserved the truth, just like I did." My phone buzzed with a text from an unknown number. "This is Preston. We need to talk about what you did." I showed Catherine the message. "Seems your daughter's lover is unhappy." "What did you do?" Catherine asked warily. I emailed his HR department with evidence of him using company resources for their affair. Apparently, corporate frowns on executives sleeping with clients' wives. Catherine's eyes widened. He'll be fired. Actions have consequences, I replied calmly, a concept Joanna never grasped. As Catherine left, her shoulders slumped in defeat. I felt no triumph, just the hollow certainty of doing what needed to be done. That evening, I received another text, this time from Shannon. Mike kicked me out. Thanks for ruining my marriage. I didn't bother responding. The cascade of consequences was just beginning, and I had more important matters to handle. My lawyer called with news. The judge had approved our emergency motion to freeze the marital assets. Joanna couldn't drain accounts or sell property while the divorce proceeded. She's furious, Patricia reported. Threatened to contest everything. Let her try, I replied. The evidence speaks for itself. As I ended the call, another text arrived from Joanna. You've destroyed everything. I hope you're satisfied. I stared at the message for a long moment before typing my response. You made your choices. I'm making mine. A week into our separation, I returned to the house to collect more of my belongings. Patricia had advised against it, suggesting I send a courier, but some things I needed to handle personally. I timed a visit for when Joanna would be at work, or so I thought. Her car sat in the driveway, alongside another I didn't recognize. I entered using my key, moving silently through the front hallway. Voices drifted from the kitchen, Joanna and a man. Preston, you need to fix this. Preston's voice was tense, angry. I've been put on administrative leave because of your husband's witch hunt. What do you expect me to do? Joanna snapped back. Brian's frozen the accounts. I can barely pay the mortgage. Figure something out. My reputation is destroyed. 3 years of climbing the corporate ladder, gone. I stepped into the kitchen doorway. Having a strategy session? They both whirled around. Preston, younger than I'd imagined, with the overly polished look of someone trying too hard, paled visibly. You have no right to just walk in here, Joanna hissed, recovering first. Actually, I do. My name's still on the deed, I replied calmly, setting my empty box on the counter. Don't mind me. Just collecting some things. Preston stepped forward, hands clenched. You think you're clever, don't you? Reporting me to HR, spreading rumors. Not rumors. Facts, I corrected. All documented. Want to see the hotel receipt from the Marmont where you spent Valentine's Day with my wife? The one she charged to our joint credit card. This is harassment. Preston sputtered. I laughed coldly. No, this is consequences. Big difference. Joanna moved between us. Brian, please. We can work this out. There's nothing to work out, I replied. I'm not interested in reconciliation. Because you never really loved me, Joanna shouted, tears streaming down her face. If you did, you'd fight for us. I studied her for a moment, genuinely curious. Is that what you tell yourself? That my unwillingness to forgive betrayal means I didn't love you enough? It was just sex, she insisted. It didn't mean anything. It meant something to me, I replied quietly. It meant our vows were worthless to you. Preston shifted uncomfortably. I should go. Stay, I told him. This won't take long. I walked past them to my office, gathering my remaining files and equipment. When I returned, they were standing awkwardly apart. I filed for a hearing date. I informed Joanna. September 12th. My lawyer will contact yours with details. Already? It's only been a week. Joanna looked panicked. I see no reason to drag this out. I picked up my box and headed for the door, then turned back. Oh, and Preston, you might want to check your credit report. Joanna has a habit of opening cards in other people's names. Just ask her ex-boyfriend. The look of shock on Preston's face almost made me smile. Almost. Outside, I loaded the box into my car and took a deep breath of the summer air. For the first time in months, I felt clean. 2 weeks after moving out, I settled into a routine at my extended stay hotel. Work during the day, divorce preparations at night. The company had been surprisingly supportive, granting me flexible hours during the legal proceedings. One evening, my laptop pinged with a security alert. Someone was attempting to access my cloud storage. The IP address traced back to my old house. Joanna was trying to hack my accounts. I immediately called Patricia. She's looking for leverage. I explained. Change all your passwords, Patricia instructed, and document this breach attempt. It strengthens our case. I spent the next hour fortifying my digital fortress, then sent a text to Joanna. The next unauthorized access attempt will be reported to the police. My phone rang immediately. I put on speaker as I continued working. You changed all the passwords, Joanna shouted, not bothering with pleasantries. You try to hack my accounts, I replied calmly, which is illegal. I needed financial records for my lawyer, she protested. Then have your lawyer request them through proper channels. Joanna's voice shifted from angry to pleading. Brian, we need to talk face to face. This has gone too far. The time for talking was before you started sleeping with your coworker. I've ended things with Preston, she said quickly. It was a mistake. I know that now. Congratulations on your moral awakening, I replied dryly. My lawyer will be in touch about the asset disclosure. Your lawyer? What about us? There is no us anymore, Joanna. Her voice hardened. So that's it. 10 years together, thrown away. You threw it away, I corrected. I'm just acknowledging reality. You'll regret this, she hissed. You think you're so smart with your evidence and your lawyer, but you've forgotten how well I know you. Is that a threat? It's a promise. The call disconnected. The next morning, I received an email alert that Joanna had posted on social media, a carefully crafted narrative painting herself as the victim of an emotionally distant workaholic husband. I forwarded it to Patricia without reading past the first paragraph. More evidence of character, I noted. Patricia's response was immediate. Perfect. This helps us. Later that day, Mike Taylor called. You were right, he said without preamble. Shannon admitted everything. She's been covering for Joanna for months. I'm sorry, I replied, genuinely sympathetic. Don't be. I needed to know. His voice sounded stronger than I expected. I filed for divorce yesterday. How are you holding up? Better than expected, Mike admitted. It's like waking up from a bad dream. Painful, but at least it's real. After we hung up, I found myself standing at the hotel window, looking out at the city lights. For the first time since the accidental call, I felt a strange kinship, not just with Mike, but with all the men who discovered their lives were built on lies. We weren't victims. We were survivors. September arrived with unexpected complications. Neurotech announced a major reorganization, with teams being reshuffled. My new assignment? A joint project with Joanna's company. I can't work with them, I told my manager, Frank. I'm in the middle of divorcing their HR director. Frank looked uncomfortable. I understand, but this contract is huge. The executive team is aware of your situation and promised you won't directly interact with Joanna. I weighed my options. Refusing would harm my career, but accepting meant potential complications. I'll do it, I decided. But I want everything documented. No meetings without another team member present. Frank nodded, relieved. Absolutely. And Brian? I admire how you're handling all this. Lesser men would have crumbled. The project kicked off the following week. I maintained rigid professionalism, focusing solely on the technical aspects. It was working well until Preston showed up at a critical meeting. He looked terrible, unshaven, dark circles under his eyes, his typical polish gone. When he spotted me, he froze momentarily before taking a seat across the table. Throughout the meeting, I felt his eyes on me, but I didn't acknowledge him. When we broke for lunch, he cornered me in the hallway. You've ruined my life, Preston hissed, keeping his voice low. I've been demoted. My reputation is shot. I regarded him calmly. You ruined your own life when you decided to sleep with a married woman. Joanna said your marriage was over in all but name. He insisted that you were separating anyway. And you believe that. I almost pitted him. Let me guess. She also said she never did this before. That you were special. Doubt flickered across his face. Ask her about David Collins, I suggested. Or Robert from accounting. Or her personal trainer last spring. Preston's face paled. You're lying. I have no reason to lie, I replied. But Joanna has every reason to. Think about it. I walked away, leaving him stunned in the hallway. It wasn't about revenge. He deserved the truth as much as I had. That evening, I received a furious call from Joanna. How dare you tell Preston about the others, she screamed. You've ruined everything. I simply answered his questions, I replied. He deserved honesty. He broke up with me. Her voice cracked, said he couldn't trust me, that I was toxic. Welcome to self-awareness, I said dryly. It's painful, isn't it? After hanging up, I poured myself a rare whiskey and sat on my hotel balcony. Joanna's world was collapsing. Career stalled, reputation damaged, relationship over. All natural consequences of her choices. I felt no joy in her pain, but I recognized the justice in it. Sometimes the most severe punishment isn't what others do to you. It's having to live with what you've done to yourself. My phone buzzed with a text from Patricia. Judge granted expedited hearing. October 3rd. 1 month until freedom. I could make it. October arrived with a bitter chill. 1 week before our court date, Joanna made her final desperate move. I was leaving the office when my phone buzzed with an email from Frank. Need to discuss urgent issue regarding your position. The meeting the next morning was tense. Frank and the HR director sat across from me, expressions grim. There's been an accusation. Frank began carefully. Joanna claims you used company resources to hack her personal accounts. I remain calm. That's categorically false. She's provided what appears to be evidence, the HR director explained, sliding a folder toward me. Timestamps showing access to her accounts from an IP address matching our network. I examined the documents, immediately spotting inconsistencies in the formatting. These are fabricated. Can you prove that? Frank asked. Yes. I pulled out my laptop. I've been running background security, logging on all my devices since the separation began. The logs show exactly where I was and what systems I accessed at these times. Their expressions shifted from concern to interest as I displayed my comprehensive documentation. Additionally, I continued, I've been working from the downtown office on these dates, not headquarters where this IP is located. The HR director nodded slowly. This directly contradicts her evidence. Because her evidence isn't real, I stated flatly. Joanna worked in HR for 8 years. She knows exactly what allegations could damage my career. Frank's face hardened. We'll need to investigate further, but Brian, off the record, I believe you. After the meeting, I forwarded everything to Patricia, who called immediately. This is perfect, she said, sounding almost gleeful. Fabricating evidence and filing false claims with your employer? The judge will eviscerate her. She's desperate, I noted, trying anything to gain leverage before court. It backfired spectacularly, Patricia confirmed. I'm filing an emergency motion to enter this into evidence. Later that night, I receive an unexpected visitor at my hotel room, Mike Taylor. Sorry to show up unannounced, he said, looking worn but resolved. Shannon confessed everything under oath today. Detailed records of covering for Joanna, all the dates, locations. Her lawyer advised full disclosure. That couldn't have been easy for you, I said, inviting him in. Actually, it was liberating. Mike smiled grimly. Shannon's attorney is sending the deposition to your lawyer tonight. After Mike left, I stood by the window, watching the city lights. Joanna's final play had collapsed completely, leaving her with nothing but the truth she'd been running from. For the first time since hearing that accidental call, I felt something unexpected. Not triumph or satisfaction, but peace. The storm was finally passing. My phone pinged with a text from Patricia. It's over. Joanna's lawyer called. They're accepting original settlement terms. No contest. Why the surrender? I texted back. They know they've lost. Completely. I set down the phone and took a deep breath. The war was over, and I had survived. 1 year later, I stood in my new apartment overlooking the river, watching autumn leaves drift across the water. The divorce had been finalized 11 months ago, concluding with a settlement that favored me heavily, thanks to Joanna's desperate last-minute maneuvers. Neurotech had promoted me to Director of Security following my systematic documentation during the divorce. Anyone who protects their personal data that thoroughly belongs in cybersecurity, Frank had joked. I heard the front door open. Lisa returning from her morning run. We'd met 6 months ago at a cybersecurity conference. She was brilliant, honest, and had no patience for games or manipulation. Coffee's ready, I called out. Lisa appeared in the doorway, flushed from exercise. You're a lifesaver, she grinned, accepting the mug I offered. Ready for brunch with your parents? I nodded, enjoying the simple pleasure of Sunday morning normalcy. My phone buzzed. An email from Mike. We'd remained friends through the aftermath, supporting each other as we rebuilt our lives. Joanna's back in town, he wrote. Thought you should know. I showed Lisa the message. Does that bother you? She asked directly, one of the qualities I appreciated most about her. Honestly, no. I realized I meant it. I moved on completely. Later, walking to my parents' favorite restaurant, Lisa's hand comfortably in mine, I reflected on the journey of the past year. The accidental call that had shattered my world had also freed me from a life built on lies. I'd learned painful but crucial lessons. Trust should be earned, not given blindly. Strength comes from facing reality, not denying it. And sometimes losing what you thought you wanted opens the door to what you actually need. 3 blocks from the restaurant, I spotted a familiar figure, Joanna, looking older somehow, exiting a coffee shop. She saw me at the same moment and froze. For a heartbeat, we simply looked at each other across the crowded sidewalk. No anger, no pain, nothing but recognition and the hollow echo of a past life. I nodded once, a simple acknowledgement, then continued walking, Lisa curious beside me. Ex-wife, she asked. Ex-life, I corrected gently. We turned the corner, leaving Joanna and all she represented behind. Ahead, I could see my parents waving from the restaurant patio, faces bright with welcome. The accidental call had destroyed the life I thought I had. But from that destruction, I'd built something far more valuable, a life founded on truth, with no hidden code or secret protocols. A life that was genuinely, authentically mine. As we joined my parents, their warm embraces reminding me of all that remained constant, I realized the most important lesson of all. Some calls are meant to be answered, even when they break your heart. Especially then.